Whether you're Christian or not, you've probably heard the argument that Christians are just a bunch of ignorant, closed-minded individuals that believe in a fake God without any real evidence or anything else to prove his existence, and they just follow their blind faith anywhere that the Bible-thumping God takes them. And where Christians do have faith in God, the ironic part of it all is atheists also have faith. They just have faith that God doesn't exist. So that's really what we're gonna focus on in this video is the faith that it takes to be an atheist. And we're really just gonna scrape just the very top surface, like just the tip of apologetics. And if you're a Christian or you're considering Christianity, we're going to talk more about what apologetics is, but just know that it's important, all right? It is important for Christians to have an understanding of it. And before we go any further in this video, what I don't want to see is this turn into any sort of like nasty Christians versus atheist argument, nor in the comments do I want to see people going at each other's throats at all. And if you're a Christian, you should definitely know better and just watch your keyboard fingers, right? Before you type something stupid into the comments, even if someone else is belittling you, all right? So with all that said though, welcome to the video. My name is Chris of Chris Bradley, and I'm glad you're here. Whether you're an atheist or a Christian or someone that's just trying to figure it all out, seriously, I'm glad you're here watching this video. So the first thing we got to do, the first thing before we get any further into talking about the faith of atheism, is to understand what is atheism, right? Because I think a lot of people out there, they're like, well, I don't have a faith that God doesn't exist. I just don't have any faith that he does. I just don't know, or I just don't care, right? There's a chance then that you're not actually atheist, because a lot of times we lump people into this, well, I'm either Christian or I'm atheist, and that's often not the case. For example, you might be an agnostic, all right? So agnosticism is someone who is not committed to believing in either the existence or the non-existence of God. So you're not committed either way. Then you don't have faith that God doesn't exist, right? As opposed to an atheist, all right? An atheist is someone who has a lack of belief or a strong disbelief in the existence of God. So in other words, you believe that God does not exist. Like, that's your faith, right? I have faith that God doesn't exist. So that's the difference between the two, and that's why it's important to kind of figure out where you fall, and that way it'll make more sense moving forward in the video. All right, so the popular thing for an atheist to do to a Christian is say, just show me that he exists, right? Like, just prove it to me. Show me he exists right now, and then I'll have no more argument anymore, right? And my counter argument, one of, is show me that he doesn't exist. Show me proof that he doesn't exist. You can't do that either way, right? And we're gonna talk about that more in a minute. It's really interesting, so stick around. So, but can I just snap my fingers and like, poof, God shows up in the room? Like, I mean, no, right? Like, I can't physically just make him appear. It doesn't work that way, and I get that's hard and frustrating for you as an atheist, and trust me when I say it is equally, or maybe even often harder for me as a Christian to not be able to do that, all right? And that's where apologetics comes in. And apologetics is basically the theology around the defense of Christianity. And that's why it's important, right? You should be able to defend your faith, and apologetics also plays a big role into just not having this blind faith. That's one way that a lot of people are able to go, okay, I've looked at the evidence, all right? I've read the Bible, I've looked at the evidence, and using this set of reasoning and these arguments, that's how I'm able to believe, you know, I still have to have some faith, right? That Jesus Christ is real, that God is real. So I want to touch on a few of these arguments, okay? And the first one is the creation of the universe, all right? We're going like all the way back to the beginning, all right? There's the Big Bang theory that a lot of atheists get behind. You know, it just started with the Big Bang and then evolution and all that deal, and somehow we have this now insanely complicated human being and planet and everything else that just evolved from this bang, okay? And the first argument I have for that is something can't come from nothing. Even if there was a Big Bang, what caused it? Something had to have existed already to cause the bang that created the universe, right? Like, you can't just have nothing and then something. Now, I know the atheist return argument is, well, then who created God? Like, if you say that God created the world, then who created them? And God is the creator, and he's also the uncreated, and that's a whole nother video. But let me just say this, if you're a Christian and you're thinking about this argument or whatever, it's okay to say that I don't know. Like, I don't know, I don't understand, because God is this amazing being that we don't have all the answers for, and as Christians, we can admit that. But you don't believe in God, so you have to be able to then tell me how something happened, right? You're saying there's no way that God exists, this is how it happened, but then you have to be able to back that up. I can at least fall back on if I don't know. Well, I know that God created the universe. That's what I believe. I don't know how God came to be. All right, and there are some good discussions on that, which I'm not going to get into here. So that's the cosmological argument, okay, how the world came to be. And it's ironic because we're in it every day, and it's often an apologetics argument that just kind of gets like pushed to the wayside by a lot of Christians, but you are literally living in the evidence of God. Another great example is the prophecies fulfilled by Jesus Christ. All right, and a lot of people like, you can't use the Bible to refute evidence for God because it's the Bible. And first of all, we don't historically hold any other book to that same standard. But let's look past that and go, okay, well, if I look at the Old Testament was written before Jesus Christ was ever born. Like, it was done, written, here it is, we have it. And then Jesus Christ came along, and the evidence is out on him, by the way. He was a real person. Most scholars, not all, most scholars will even agree that Jesus Christ was a real person, which I'm not going to get too much in, but just know that he was either Jesus Christ, the Son of God, or an insane person. There's nowhere in between that he could be because of what he claimed, right? So anyway, the Old Testament is done. Boom, Jesus Christ, born as a human on the earth, comes along and fulfills prophecies from the Old Testament, right? Like, think about that. That's crazy. There's all this stuff written about the Messiah to come in the Old Testament. This guy, Jesus, comes along and just like, poof, fulfills a ton of them. There are many that he fulfilled that he could not have controlled. All right, so I just want to give you two examples. The first one is in the Old Testament, Micah 5:2, versus the New Testament of Matthew 2:1, and that basically talks about the Messiah being born in Bethlehem. Now, Jesus Christ, if he decided at a certain age that he was going to fake everybody into the fact that he was the Son of God, could not have controlled the fact that he was born in the town of Bethlehem, right? It's just not possible. Next, Psalm 22:18 and Luke 23:34. Right, they cast lots for Jesus' garment. So in the Old Testament, they're prophesying about the Messiah. And in the New Testament, Luke 23:34, as he's hanging on the cross, the Roman soldiers cast lots for his garments. Again, fulfilled. There's no way he could control that. He didn't, like, up on the cross shout down, like, hey, make sure you cast lots for my garments down there. It's important for these prophecies I'm working to fulfill. Like, that didn't happen, right? So, again, the point is there's all this stuff in the Old Testament that was done, completed book, the end, right, for this portion, and then he comes along and he fulfills these prophecies that he had, many of which he could not have controlled if he was just some random guy. Now, I do want to say, in transparency, the counter argument for that is, okay, sure, but none of that actually happened. Some guys who wrote the New Testament made all that stuff up to fit with the Old Testament, and really, he was just some guy, and then later on, they wrote all this stuff, which leads into another example of apologetics, right? And that is like the dating of the Bible, all right? There's a lot of apologetics on that, but I'm just going to keep it real short and say that James was written around 50 AD. All right, now, Jesus was crucified around 32 AD, like give or take a couple years, all right? So then James comes along and writes this, the brother of Jesus, writes the book of James around 50 AD. So within 20 years, all right? It's not like this is generations down the road. This was within 20 years. And then we can look at Luke, which is one of the Gospels, and that was written somewhere between 63 AD and 90 AD. And most would argue close to the 63 AD mark, which again is well within their lifetime, within the apostles' lifetime. All right, in a lot of books, it's just two examples. You could refute these arguments if they weren't the case. A lot of people were still alive that saw Jesus. Over 500 saw him alive after he was crucified. The books were written. You could have just asked, right? They could have just asked, or been shown like, hey, show us the body, right? So my point is can I like make God appear in front of me here right now, just at will? No, I can't. But is it just some blind faith? No, there's so much evidence that leads you towards the faith of Christianity. So for me personally, like it's easier to have faith in Christ than it is to have faith that he did not exist. Okay, and I want to bring up this quote by J. Warner Wallace. This is a great quote. And J. Warner Wallace he was a detective, and then he went on to basically investigate Christianity. All right, he was an atheist. He went to investigate Christianity from a detective point of view. He wrote a book called Cold Case Christianity. But he has this quote, okay, and it says, I might have enough reason to believe that he did it, even if I can't tell you how he did it. And what he's talking about there is he's talking about how a courtroom works, right? When he was a detective, and he's basically using that as an argument for Christianity, that I might have enough reason to believe that he did it, or that Jesus existed, even if I can't tell you exactly how he did it. And then he goes on to say, and this is great, because the argument would be, well, you can't be 100% certain that Jesus is real. And you're right, that's why it's called faith, right? But J. Warner Wallace goes on to say, you don't have to have every question answered to be certain, because the level we are trying to reach is not beyond a possible doubt. You will never get there. The standard is a reasonable doubt. Think on that for a few minutes, and then click this link down here to see a video on Mike Winger where he talks about some of the top atheist arguments, and he kind of goes into real good discussion on those. Otherwise, click up here to see our latest video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to read your Bible. So that's what I want to talk about today, and I want to bring in like just a little bit, like just the tip. All right, I want to bring in just the tip. Can I say that on a video?